What a comeback. Welcome back to Where Superhoops Walk with myself, Luke, and alongside me today we've got Jared, discussing all things QPR, including this week's A to Z, we're on the letter B, and Tweet of the Week. So, Jared, let's start with that Bristol City game, shall we? What a comeback, away from home as well.
Yeah, it was a really impressive result in the end. It was a really even game. It was a typical championship game. Both teams had half chances in the first half. We let in a goal that I still think the ball curved out of play. I was adamant at the time. The QPR players stopped basically because it looked so certain it was out. But it was a great cross back in, to be fair. And then second half. Again, the manager deserves huge credit because the subs he made at the right time. Harvey Vale came on and had an instant impact. Paul Smith obviously scored the winning goal. And yeah, it's a ground where we have done so well in the last six seasons. I think it is now. I think it's 5 wins and a draw in our last 6 games there, and we don't have that record at any other club. Honestly, our away form is pretty bad across the last 5 or 6 years. So it's definitely a happy hunting ground for us, and it's a really good win.
Yeah. Michael actually touched on that last week, actually saying that Ashton Cape was a place that QPR have a lot of joy, which is good, especially the form that Bristol City have been on. They've obviously they're sitting in the sort of playoff positions, haven't they? They've been there since the start of the season. They've been doing really well. So to go there and get 3 points and from behind as well is it shows a lot. Let's briefly go back to the 0-0 draw, QPR Oxford. Was you happy with taking a point? At least it's not a loss.
I think if you'd offered me 5 points before Sheffield Wednesday, from Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford, and Bristol City, I think I would have taken it. And I think Michael touched on it last week. He said it'll be typical of QPR to get a point against Oxford and then beat Bristol City away. And yeah, it's not surprised any of us that we've done it the hard way around. And I think there's that tendency to look back and think, if we had beaten Sheffield Wednesday, if we had beaten Oxford, where could we be now? But in terms of those 3 games, I think we have to be content with 5 points. He made a lot of changes against Oxford, and I think a couple of players have come in and probably not taken their chances like they should have done. I think Samfield had a quiet game on Wednesday. Dembele on Wednesday and on Saturday, I don't think he performed anywhere near the level that he can. And if I was him, I'd be concerned about my place in the squad, to be honest, because you got Chair and Poku coming back. So I think maybe if he hadn't made those changes, the result could have been different. But then the players wouldn't have been fresh for Saturday. So, like I said, 4 points in a week, plus the point at Sheffield Wednesday, we can't grumble.
No, I think you're right. It's hard, isn't it? You make all them changes, that is the time for players to come and try and grab the shirt and make the place theirs. And if they haven't, then that's one of the things. Dembele will we can talk about now. He's such a talent. I think I've spoken about him a few times, saying that he seems like he's been playing since he was 4 years old at the sort of top level. Like he's been there for he's been part of the football landscape for a while now. But what do you see him obviously week in, week out, Jad? What is his level? What does he need to work on to really push on to be even a starting player for QPR?
I think it's the work rate off the ball is a big thing. I think there's that lack of effort to track back, and we're playing a 4-4-2 now basically, and the wide players have to put the work in, don't they? And you've got Saito on one side who does that. You've got Paul Smith comes on and does that, and I think Harvey Vale came on, and he's such a simple footballer, but he's brilliant to watch because he just does the simple things really well. He'll get the ball, he'll get it in the box. He uses his strength really well, and I think Dembele just hasn't got that same desire. I think he overcomplicates things sometimes when he has the ball. I think the ability is definitely there. When we first signed him last season, the first 3 or 4 games, we thought we've got a great player, and the push to sign him permanently was instant. And I do wonder now, if looking back, we were a little bit rash in making that deal permanent. he had injuries last season, but yeah, there's something not quite right about him. And I think in a 4-4-2, your wide players have to put the work in, and I'm not quite sure he's going to do that. I really hope he comes good, because the ability is definitely there, but there's no way that they're going to change the system to kind of suit him more. But I think when you look at Nicholas Madsen, he's proof that things can turn around big time for players at QPR. I think we were really harsh on Madsen, and I think deservedly so, because the performances were nowhere near good enough at this level. But in the last six or seven games, he's been outstanding. Probably our best player in those games. I think he's created the most chances, got the most recoveries. I think he made the most tackles in the game yesterday as well. So he's proof that things can turn around, but it's going to take hard work. And with the players that Dembele's up against, you've got Vale and Saito ahead of him, Paul Smith ahead of him, Poku ahead of him once he's back, Chair ahead of him. So he's dropping down that pecking order. And he's had 2 chances this week, and he's not been anywhere near good enough.
Not taking them. Yeah, like I say, he's got a high ceiling, hasn't he? He's a player that clearly has a lot of talent. It's just whether it fits this system, and he needs to learn the dirty side of the game, I guess, a little bit. The working hard, the chasing back, that side of it. Let's now go back to the Bristol City game, only because I want to talk about what character it shows that the team has to go away from home and to come from behind and to get the win. Character is very, very important in the Championship, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's what we've lacked over the last few seasons, to be honest with you. I think there's games recently, the Stoke game at 0-0, the QPR team of the last 3 or 4 years would have crumbled in that game. Sheffield Wednesday, they came back from 1-0 down in that game as well. And I think yesterday's game, there was a point in the first half where we kind of had a bit of a wobble after that first goal, and the defence held strong. Steve Cook, who's not had a brilliant season so far, he's not played much, but he was outstanding, and I think his influence yesterday was absolutely crucial. And then second half, like I said, he made changes on about 60 minutes, it must have been, and those 2 subs really, really changed the game. And I think once we equalise, you could see the belief in the players, and I think a lot of it is down to having a striker there in Kone, where if you create chances, he will take one eventually. And then it was a really good goal. The winning goal, the build up was good. 3 or 4 players involved. Brilliant cross from Jimmy Dunn, and I think the way that they hung on at the end was quite impressive as well, because they were under the caution. A couple of little decisions went our way, which you need in this league. But I think those sort of wins are the wins that build character. The 3-1 win against Charlton maybe wouldn't have that same impact, but I think that will give them belief that they can go to tough away games now. And even if they go a goal down, there's the players to come off the bench maybe to make an impact. And I still think, if you think yesterday, I would argue that we had maybe 5 first choice players. When they're fit, I think Clark Salter comes into that team, and Bengay probably comes into that team. Norrington Davis comes into that team, Chair and Poku. So to go there with 5, in my opinion, key players out, again, can only help us when the fill-in players played so well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it shows that you've got the squad depth there as well. The players coming off the bench and to make the impact. Let's talk about something now that's kind of I've seen it across Twitter, or X as it's called now, and all over sort of fan forums, etc. And it's been the level and the standard of refereeing so far this season in the Championship. We're 9 games in, and there's been appalling decisions after appalling decisions across the board. What can be changed? What needs to be changed? I mean, the answer is not having VAR in the Championship, is it, Jared? We can't be having that. But what do you expect? What needs to happen to get this refereeing standard higher?
I think if we had VAR in the Championship, I think 2 of the goals yesterday probably would have been ruled out. I think their goal, I'm sure the ball went out. And I think if somebody in a VAR room had looked at Paul Smith's header, they would have said, "Oh, he pushed the defender. There was minimal contact." I've kind of given up hope that we'll get a good referee. I think you just kind of become numb to how bad some of the decisions are. And it's not like I feel we've been hard done by this season. I think we've had that game against Stoke. The referee made some absolutely bizarre calls, even on simple things like corners and goal kicks. It was clearly a corner at one point, and he gives a goal kick. I thought we got lucky yesterday. I thought it was a definite penalty when Jimmy Dunn clattered into one of their players in the last couple of minutes. And again, I've seen it back, and I don't know what the referee is thinking, not giving it. I've seen some people say it was just coming together, but their player clearly heads it first, and Jimmy Dunn comes in and clatters him. So yeah, I don't know what it is to be done. I don't want VAR because I don't want that moment that you score to be kind of tainted like it is in the Premier League, where you have to wait for every check to happen. I think one way would be to get referees to speak out after the game and explain their decisions, and that might help. It might help take the pressure off them. I also think the players have to take a lot of responsibility. They look for marginal gains, don't they? The rolling around, the gamesmanship. We had one incident yesterday where we had a corner, I think, and Jimmy Dunn went up for the ball, collided with their keeper. Clearly, nothing wrong with him, and he went down and stayed down. And Bristol City were going to have a quick break, and the referee stops the game, and like the referee had to stop because he thought it was a head injury when there's clearly nothing wrong. So I think kind of stopping that gamesmanship where the goalkeeper goes down, for example, and the physio comes on so the players go over for a quick team talk. I think the refereeing standards are poor, but I think the players do their utmost to kind of con them all the time. So yeah, and sometimes the referee's hands are tied. If a player goes down holding his head, he has to stop it. If a goalkeeper goes down, he has to stop it. So I think that kind of thing doesn't help at all. So I think it is a collective responsibility. And
I
agree. I don't really know what the solution is, but something has to change.
I think the few things that come to my mind is one is how the system where if you're a Premier League referee and you have a shocker, in a big game, you then get demoted to the Championship and have to. What does that say? What, you're getting punished to ref it? What's that say for the Championship? Do you know what I mean? That's not on at all. You're bringing a referee who's used to VAR, that doesn't obviously hasn't had a good game. So then, that great idea. Let's get him to ref a game in the Championship. I just think that's absolutely shocking. And why are they changing the rules every season? There's always something. Every season you go into it, it's all this. There's this now. There's that now. I think they've complicated the rule book. It's hard for fans, referees, players, managers to fully know what's going on. So like, for example, there's that new one that isn't there this season where the goalkeepers have got 8 seconds to hold the ball, and if not, it goes out for a corner. How many times is that going to get implemented? It's not. You might see it now and again for the refs trying to make a point, but how many times? We all go to the games. How often do we see that happen? It happens all the time. They're not going to implement it. Not
going to change it. No.
It's just confusing the situation more. So yeah, I think from top to bottom, it needs changing. Obviously, we know. You coach, don't you, at grassroots level? What's the refereeing like down there? Because obviously it's not a nice job, can be for the grassroots sort of referees.
No, we have young kids, 14 or 15, basically reffing our games, and it's their first kind of time doing it. And some of them are really keen to kind of learn and try to coach the players through. Others are literally there just to pick up £10 a game and aren't really paying attention. And but I have been at games or at venues where I see some of the abuse that parents give them, even at under 9, under 10 level. And I think there's got to be stricter punishments on kind of that, because if you've got 14 or 15-year-old who wants to be a referee, by the time they've done a year at that age group, they're going to be switched off completely, because who wants to get up on a Saturday morning and be abused by a 45-year-old man who thinks his son's going to be the next Messi? So yeah, I think more support at grassroots level is definitely needed, and harsher punishments for those parents or coaches that kind of can't control themselves. And they have a silent weekend, don't they, as well? Yeah, I think it's coming up on November the 8th or 15th, where the coaches and the supporters aren't allowed to talk, shout, whatever. And I experienced it last year for the first time. And I found it hard as a coach not to talk, but I think the referees really enjoyed it. And my team last season won their first game on that day. And one of my players turned to one of her teammates and said, "It's funny, we play much better when no one's talking to us." Kind of, yeah, it's true. They was the best they played probably all season. So yeah, I think again, more support at grassroots level. But like you say, there's so many changes coming in every season. That doesn't help either.
No, not at all. Not at all. It needs to obviously improve very quickly. Right, we've obviously got the boring international break to come, but after we get through another international break, our next game is Millwall at home. What's our predictions? What are we thinking, mate?
Yeah, they had a great win yesterday, didn't they? They've kind of maybe not started the season how I expected them to. I thought they'd be up there really early on. I think it's taken them a few weeks to kind of maybe blood in new players, but it was a great win yesterday. And QPR Millwall's not really a rivalry, but I think with both teams where they are in the league and kind of optimism building probably at Millwall and at QPR, I think it'll be a really good game. I think their record at QPR is pretty dire, actually. I think they've only won one game in the last 30 or 40 years, something like that. So we normally do okay against them. If we've got Chair back, Poku back, everyone stays fit who's going away on international duty as well, I think we'll fancy our chances. I think we're unbeaten at home, which I think must be the furthest into the season that we've got. I'm going to go 1-1. I can't quite push it for a win, yeah. 1-1.
That's the cautious optimism coming out in you there.
Yeah, cautious, really cautious. Yeah, don't want to tempt fate.
I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to say Kone with a double. There you go. Yeah. 2-1. Right, now time for the this week's A to Z. So we're on to letter B. So obviously you wasn't here last week, Jared, but we had Michael. He mentioned a Delta Rap, who obviously was an absolute class player with a lot of spice, a lot of magic. Who we going for today, or what we going for today with letter B?
He was before my time, but I think as one of the stands, as you can see in the background there, is named after him. It has to be Stan Bowles. Probably, well, I think without question, QPR's greatest ever player. I just missed out on seeing him play by a few years, but the legacy that he's left at QPR, there won't be another player that leaves that legacy. Some of the stories that you hear about him at the betting shop before games, things like that. He was an absolute genius. By all accounts, should have won more England caps as well. And yeah, always kept that link with QPR, and obviously to have a stand named after him now is really special. His family still come to watch games, and yeah, I don't think there's another player in our history that will leave that kind of legacy. So I think for B, it was probably the easiest one of the whole alphabet. I almost went for bonkers because QPR does feel like a bit of a bonkers club sometimes. like that, like for a few years we had like a director held at gunpoint in the stadium. We had that fight with the Chinese national team at the training ground. There were so many incidents, so many crazy moments. But yeah, definitely has to be Stan Bowles.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think that's a good choice. Right, now finishing on with tweet of the week. So today's tweet of the week has to be taken in jest. So it is. Let me get it up. It is, I think, a little bit of a reference to maybe another London club, maybe a South London club who plays in the Premier League. And it is the tweet is from the official QPR page, and it is bio updated. And it's obviously referring to the unbeaten run. Crystal Palace have obviously keeps updating their bio. They lost today, so it stays obviously 19 games. Question is, Jared, are QPR going to beat it? Are they going to get 20 games unbeaten?
Yeah, I saw quite a few Bristol City fans biting at that tweet yesterday, going, "Oh, what small club mentality." I was like, "Lads, just chill out. It's a joke, right?"
Joke.
But yeah, fair play to Crystal Palace. 19 games unbeaten, and they've played some tough games in that run as well. If we manage to do half of that, I'll be amazed. Our fixtures look like they're going to get a bit trickier after the international break. But yeah, 6 unbeaten is the best we've had for a while. We're quite a few points better off than we were this time last season. So yeah, if we make it to 20, then I will do this podcast in some kind of fancy dress. Okay.
I'll hold you. I'll hold
Yeah,
you to that.
yeah.
I'll hold you to that. Lovely. No, well, long may the unbeaten run continue. Thank you very much, mate. Very nice conversation as usual. And thank you everybody for watching and listening at home. Please like and subscribe, and please get involved in the comments below for the A to Z for what is your letter B for QPR.